Hey guys, how you going? Okay, what happened this morning? I had a live scheduled for 9 a.m. this morning, and I woke up at 4 a.m. and by 6 a.m. I had a notification saying that I was had another strike on YouTube and that I couldn't upload for 2 weeks. So I couldn't even get on my own live stream this morning. So I did a video and I was somewhere else, and afterwards, after I'd finished my live stream, YouTube, I had appealed the strike, and YouTube had come back and said that the strike had been overturned, which is very unusual, doesn't normally happen. That's why you should appeal everything. And so I got, I'm able to go live tomorrow morning on my normal YouTube channel. So the Saturday's live stream will be there, all being well. And so, okay, I'm going to play for you now the live stream that I did do. Okay, thanks guys.
Losing time, I'm fading fast. I just wanna make it last. Try to let go of the past. I close my eyes, embrace the blast. Sleepless nights and headache stack. Restlessness to hell and back. What's my purpose? What do I grab? A slippery surface, a heart attack. And sometimes you just gotta believe there's something that'll give you relief. There's something that'll have what you need. What you need. We're broken, it's tragic. We're not all elastic, but maybe there's magic. Believe you could have it. And I know of sadness, the anxious and panic, the infinite vastness of all that is blackness.
Hey guys, how you going? Can you hear me okay? You won't be able to see me this morning because I have I've had a bad morning. Oh dear, I'm in trouble now. Okay, this is the second strike, 2 weeks I can't upload on the other channel. And I'll show you something actually. Let me share this, share the screen. Oops, share that one. Okay, I'm going to show you something. This was this what do you call it? The thumbnail was monsters, okay? Thank you to everybody. Thank you all over on the other stream. I'm so sorry this has happened. I'm going to show you something. Okay, just let me go to content. Okay, this is what they've been doing to me. They've been copywriting, limiting. They removed this news update one from, when was that? 16th of March. Okay, this is what they're doing on my live streams. They're blocking them. They're limiting them. They're doing all sorts of things. Okay, so let's get on with the news. You got to laugh, seriously. This is ridiculous. Okay, Steve Mudflat McGrew's remasculated podcast set a A Keltec sub 2000 was used yesterday and not an AK-47 as lying, Joe Biden claimed. Also, this is a $700 gun. Expensive. Where did the him, she, her, hers, lunatic, leftist, murderer get the money? And it looks like there was 2 of those. I need answers, and not from lying Joe Biden and the communist MSM. This is a person who apparently attacked a school. So we've got that one. Gussie D. Ann said Corinne Jean-Pierre was involved in a rear-end accident, not yesterday, the day before, and she was allegedly slurring her words, unable to stand, and they are refusing to release the body cam footage. No DUI or ticket. Now, that's privilege. So what's going on? I've got a funny feeling this is all ramping up really hard because they're about to go down. Okay, this is something I'm going to read on its own because that is a video on its own. It's about hookup culture, which I hate. Lance Videos said transgender encourages people to fight in Tennessee, saying we're going to die anyway. Did this guy inspire the thing that happened in Nashville? Watch this. Listen to it, actually.
Trans people in Tennessee, it's time to fucking fight. Trans allies in Tennessee, it's time to fucking fight. Trans women, if they lock you up for identifying as a woman, fight, resist. You're gonna die anyways. We're going to die anyways. It's time to fucking resist. Fight them. Hurt them. If they put their hands on you, beat them. We are at an attack. It's time to fight back. Do you hear me? Trans people in Tennessee, trans men, trans women, non-binary, fight. If they try to arrest you or have you arrested on a felony for existing, beat them, team up, gang together, get people who agree with you to come and fight. Carry a weapon at all times. And yes, you have to attack the police officer. Allegedly. But it's time. It's time. If they're going to try to jail and police you for existing, you fight them. You fight them. And if they lock you in prison, fuck up the guards. Bust out of prison. Jump in with other trans people. It's time we organize a prison bust in Tennessee, guys. It's time we organize a prison bust. It's time we start fighting. It's time. If they put their hands on you, fight them. Trans people, fight them. We will not let them create a genocide of trans people. I am so tired. I was in a live the other day with 2 trans people who denied this. Out of my way. I disown any trans person who disagrees with this notion. You are not allowed at the fucking table. It's time to fucking fight. Trans genocide's around the corner. Stop debating cis people in your existence. I do not debate. My existence is not a conversation. We fucking fight now, or we die. And we're not gonna die debating cis people. They're gonna have the last word. They're joining your life to call you a man. They're joining your life to call you a woman. They're joining your life to misgender you, to get the right pronouns, to tell you that you're not existent. They're fucking with you and you're an idiot. Stop. You're gonna kill us all. Join together and start organizing a rally for resistance, not for talk. They're fucking with you. You're being gaslit. You think you're going to have a conversation and make progress. We don't have time to make progress.
Well, there you go. I think this person's a bit of a terrorist. What do you reckon? I don't want to hear what they have to say, really. This is ridiculous. Did this inspire the thing that happened at Nashville today, this person, at all? I'd like to see this person actually arrested for threats. Terrorist. I meme, therefore I am, said the red flags were there. She was a sick and twisted person. Nobody's stopping her. This is it. This is the person. So basically the post that they made here on about whoever they were talking to was basically a goodbye note. They were planning to die today. This is not a joke. You'll probably hear about me on the news afterwards. This is their last goodbye. They love whoever they were talking to. See you again in another life. The person said, Audrey, you have so much more life to live. I pray God keeps and covers you. The person said back again, I know, but I don't want to be here. I'm so sorry, not trying to upset you or get attention. I just need to go, like, completely take themselves out. They wanted to tell this person first because this person was the most beautiful person I've ever seen and known in their whole life. The family doesn't know what I'm about to do or what this person was about to do. One day this will make more sense. They've left behind more than enough evidence. Something bad is going to happen. So this was beforehand. And okay, here's something. I want to, let me just go to my own profile because I wrote a tweet yesterday and I'm going to have to read it because if I can find the bloody thing. Where are we? Okay, I've got to try and find my own tweet. Oh, no. Oh, there's heaps here, guys. This was a Get Better Records. All day, every day, they said, is that day of vengeance, they said. Wow. Okay. This is it, I think. Yep. Okay, I wrote, having a manifesto on MAP screams federal government set up to me. I'm not saying it didn't happen, but did she have a therapist? If so, did the therapist have any dealings with the government? Look at all previous, Hooters with an S in front and their therapists, right? What drugs were they on? I think this one was taking testosterone. That could possibly cause anger, but were they on any other drugs as well, like psych drugs? There seem to be a lot of these people with therapists and on antipsychotics, sorry, that was a spelling mistake, along with other drugs. What is the synergy of all these drugs? In other words, how do these drugs react with each other? I know antipsychotic, I don't know why the one's in there. Medication side effect is psychosis. That's not the only side effect. If you can go and research this. This is what I did to find out years ago about antidepressants and antipsychotics. Antidepressants have on their labels that they can cause depression and psychosis, let alone the antipsychotic, which also has a side effect as psychosis. Also, antidepressant mentions taking yourself out and possibly psychosis as side effects. Why do they give these people drugs when they can cause the very thing they're supposed to stop? That's what I would like to know. Why are they putting, say, Big Pharma? Oh, seriously. This is insane. And I think they are desperate and they are trying anything they can. So this is why I think something's going to happen very soon. And I think Alex passed me a link that said that people in Twitter, stop doing this as well to me, please. That there is something in manholes around London. Okay, things that go boom. Stay away from the manholes for a start. But people need to start questioning their councils and their government. What is going on here? What are they doing? What is down those manholes? But anyway, okay, let's continue with this. Cheryl Riley said the thug who, and I've got a funny feeling they're planning this all over the world. They're planning events like what I just mentioned in London, all over the world. That could be, they could be trying to blame Russia for it. Okay. Cheryl Riley said the thug who stabbed Rand Paul's staffer today in DC in broad daylight was in prison and had just been let out. Did you know Rand Paul's staffer was stabbed? The staffer was stabbed in the head and torso by a criminal who got out and didn't think twice about doing harm. We need to condemn these progressive, woke, Dem-run city leaders. Prayers to the staff. So there's other things that are going on as well. Deplorable for Trump, said this is the trans shooter Audrey Hale. The feds are in the middle of trying to scrub all of her social media and pictures from the internet. Now, why would the feds be doing that? Unless they are organising it. This person is a terrorist, transformer terrorist, using that as a reason to kill Christians, as the sign makes clear, trans rights or else. As a society, we have to stop enabling mental illness as normal because it's not. Make sure this makes the rounds. Look, trans rights or else. A sample from Audrey Hale's website. Some places are like people, some shine, I don't know. We went insane, so... What's that? So Me Doll? Shining? Oh, God knows. Red rum, of course. Oh, dear. I don't care about the context that people on Twitter seem to think that we need. Ollie London said one of the popular mottos amongst trans activists is trans rights or else, with guns emblazoned on their shirts in clear threat of violence to anyone who dares oppose their beliefs. This is not a kind, inclusive movement. This is a terrorist organisation, should be treated as such. There you go, they're all wearing it. So I'd just say, honestly, Christians, anyone, everyone, arm yourselves. I can't hear. I don't know what the hell I'm going to do, but I'm just going to stay away from everything right now. Pauline Hanson even weighed in on this. Demonising those who question the left's radical gender ideology can have severe consequences. The lies and misinformation about the motivation of conservative parties, Christian organisations and women's rights groups who've challenged the left on their gender politics is leading to hate and violence. We've seen it here in Australia where peaceful pro-women events are being disrupted by aggressive counter-protesters looking for a fight. We even saw an Australian senator charge the podium of the peaceful gathering here in Canberra. Do you remember the one who was crawling away on her knees? Yeah, that one. There is no doubt this hatefulness contributed to the violent attack in New Zealand on a peaceful women's rights events. These lies increase the chance that very unwell people obsessed with gender ideology and confused about their own identity will commit violent acts as a way of retaliating against those they perceive as their oppressors. We've seen this in Australia and New Zealand and now with deadly consequences in the USA. The 28-year-old female has committed a mass hooting with the S on the front, targeting teachers and children. Sorry, I don't mean to laugh, but I can't believe this ridiculous. I can't even say that word. At least 6 deaths have been confirmed. The alleged hooter with S in front of it, apparently self-identified as a man. The extreme left say this sort of person needs compassion and gender-affirming care to reinforce their delusions. These hateful attacks against concerned conservatives and Christian and women's rights need to stop before we see more innocent people die. To ask a question or to seek an inquiry is an act of compassion, not prejudice. Let's stop the lies and hate and start asking questions so we can develop solutions that will work and help people in need. Now, that's what Pauline Hanson has said. Cauldron Pool said 3 days ago, Senk Uyghur urged Trans American to get guns because he's worried that right-wing lunatics are going to attack them. Really? Looks like the other way around. This guy's part of it, mind you. He's from the Young Turks. They are very, very left. Tim Young said, this is bad. Raheem J. Kassam said Biden was supposed to address the school shooting, but instead he came out and started talking about the good-looking kids in front of him. Fox quickly cut away. Let's have a look at this.
Folks, it's a delight to have you all here. And who are those good-looking kids back there? They're your kids, all 4 of them? Well, stand up, guys.
John, we'll jump back in here. Considering the moment,
We
were told
that
the shooting that just happened left 3 children dead, 3 adults dead, shooters dead, and we were told he would be addressing this off the top.
She used to be 3 years.
Yeah, it's rather surprising. I thought that a somber President Biden would have come to the podium here and addressed this school shooting. He's yucking it up with the crowd at the East Room. So why don't we...
So he came out talking about kids and laughing. He didn't... How disrespectful. Especially to the parent. Seriously. Jessica Rojas, I don't know how to say that. If you're a parent who follows the CDC's schedule, the jabby one, here are some facts you need to know and understand to make an informed decision. I understand that the pharmaceutical company who made this jab has no liability. Sorry, understand. 2, understand that I pay 0.75 federal excise tax per jab used to pay jab injured families through the National Vaccine Jab Injury Compensation Program. I'm trying not to get cancelled again, created by the government. I understand that this jab contains neurotoxins such as aluminium that far exceeds safe levels deemed by the EPA. I understand this jab contains carcinogenic ingredients. I understand that this jab was made from aborted fetal cell lines. I understand that getting this jab does not ensure that I'll be protected from the disease. I understand that my child could get the very disease he was vaccinated for. I understand that my child could be a carrier of the disease she was vaccinated for and spread it, shedding for up to 6 weeks. I understand that my doctor may get monetarily rewarded for having a high percentage of her patients who are fully jabbed. I understand that if my child is injured by a jab, my doctor would have to spend an exorbitant amount of hours filling out paperwork in order to report it to VAERS, the only way to officially report it. I understand that my doctor has no incentive to fill out paperwork for a jab injury. I understand that the jab injury is underreported. I understand that jab mandates like SB 277 literally hand over new customers to pharmaceutical companies. I understand that pharmaceutical companies have no incentive to make their product better. I understand that pharmaceutical companies spend up to 4 times more on advertising than they do on research. I understand that corporate media gets 70% of their advertising revenue from pharmaceutical companies. I understand that corporate media does not want to lose revenue, certainly not 70% of it. I understand that when these companies conduct a study on their own product, it is in their best interest to have a favourable outcome. I understand that this jab schedule has never been tested on children. I understand this jab could cause injury or death, and my child could be one of them. One sec, guys. Okay. My doctor has informed me on all the risks and side effects and has reviewed the jab insert with me. I understand that if my child passes away from this jab, I'll be awarded no more than $250,000. And money can never make up for losing a child. Not that I've lost one, but I'm just saying that I don't think money would make up for that. I understand that not one jab has gone through a saline placebo double-blind study. And number 24, I'm making an informed choice to jab my child. Do you still want to do it? I wouldn't. Okay, Peter Sweden said exposing the climate scam. Carbon credits, rich people can buy them and do what the heck they like and tell the little people that we can't go down the road. Get rid of your car, you are a sinner. The elites fly private jets. Meanwhile, you are told to get rid of your car. Who are these idiots?
The plan to get to net zero in a couple of decades' time is entirely unworkable. It's actually physically impossible because we don't have, across the globe, we don't have the infrastructure to create the electricity needed.
Sorry, I didn't mean to call these people idiots. I mean the idiots who are trying to do it.
Power, the number of electric cars and whatever. And we don't have enough lithium. We don't have enough raw materials in the earth, as far as we know, to create what we need to do. And he said that there are 2 ways that this can be taken. Either the powers that be will give up on it. It's unlikely at the moment they do that. Or what they will do is completely restrict what we as individuals are allowed to do. And this is already starting with 15-minute cities, So the idea will be that in order to meet this target, because there isn't the infrastructure to create the energy, we ourselves will all have to use less. So we will be prevented from flying at all. Billionaires will be able to do it, of course. They'll be on their private. They can buy carbon credits, which, by the way, reminds me of the European Reformation. The 16th century, the Reformation.
Yeah.
Martin Luther banged his 10 points, and the big one that triggered it was the sale of indulgences, where rich people could buy indulgences in order to enable them to continue sinning but finally get to heaven, if you buy these. And I think carbon credits are the same thing. Rich people can buy them in order to do what the heck they like, and at the same time tell little people like us, you can't go down the road, get rid of your car, you're a sinner.
Klaus Schwab will be flying in his private jet, dining on the finest meat. He will be driving his Rolls Royce. Meanwhile, people will be locked in their 15-minute cities, eating insects,
Exactly.
and
Yeah, I don't need to hear any more of that. Is there a thread here? Listen to the entire interview with Jasmine on his new podcast, The Freedom Cast. Subscribe now. Have many more exciting episodes coming up as well that you don't want to miss. We talk about how digital currencies will be used to control your life. Yeah, I'm not buying it. I think it'll stop before then. But anyway, that's just my opinion. Josephine Cashman said, is this dementia or demoralisation? Let's have a listen. Albo's response to an important question about the scope of the voice. This is our Prime Minister, mind you. Okay, ready?
Of all the very strange questions I've been asked about the voice, that's up there. You know, the voice is about matters that directly affect Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. That's what it's about. And people shouldn't look for, on the voice, distractions. They can if they want.
They can if they want. Don't ask intelligent questions.
They can ask all sorts of things about whether it will, you know, give advice on who should play 5-8 for South this week.
Oh, they can ask about whether it'll give advice on who should play.
But that is not what it is.
What's wrong with his mouth? Why does this sound like he's talking through his teeth like this instead of opening his mouth?
Is about. That is not what it is about.
Don't look for distractions. PM shuts down debate on The Voice.
The Voice is not about defence policy. It's not about foreign affairs policy.
Voice is not defence. It's about the security of our country.
Labor will deliver a First Nations foreign policy.
This here is Penny Wong, and I think she is a Chinese plant in Australian politics. Labor will deliver a First Nations policy. This is treason. The government is using deliberately failed Aboriginal affairs, globalist created
that weaves the
con
voices
Australians.
and practices of the world's oldest continuing culture into the way we talk to the world and in the work of the Department of Foreign Affairs.
Government has created phony Aboriginals and fake history for a hidden globalist agenda against the wishes of the true descendants of Australian hunter-gatherers. Expose the traitors. Yeah, I'll expose them. Penny Wong's a plant. Albo confusing football with foreign affairs, insults Australians' intelligence using football to shut down debate on The Voice. He's an idiot. They all are. And wait till you hear Daniel Andrews. I think Daniel Andrews has been punched in the face again, the way he's talking. Ada Luch said, if you think children should be exposed to drag shows, you're a pedo. If you think children should be taught, oh my God, masturbation in schools, you're a pedo. If you think it's okay to allow 5-year-olds to change genders, you're a pedo. If you think minor attracted person is a term that should be used, you're a pedo. If you think it's appropriate for teachers to discuss their pronouns in front of their pupils, you're a pedo. The left calls conservatives racist, homophobic, and every other mean term, but we're afraid to call these child groomers what they really are, pedos. Stop being afraid. Call them what they are. Yeah, I agree. Is there more? Hang on. I'm a 23-year-old woman from Spain working on spreading traditional values and anti-wokeness to Gen Z. The scariest thing is the normalisation of pedos. I speak against it every day. Our world depends on it. Help me spread the message by retweeting this following her account. Malcolm Roberts said, revisiting earlier shocking news, quote, political-based medicine has now replaced evidence-based medicine. In summary, health professionals are not permitted to question the secret health advice without losing their registration to practice. Spectator Australia said confidence through censorship, the medical ministry of truth. That's what we got. Craig Kelly said, no wonder the TGA desperately tried to prevent this document being released under freedom of information. The Australian Federal Police should be down at the TGA this morning, seizing their computers and phones and starting to take people into custody. Would have anyone in their right mind injected this stuff into their body if they knew that this was spread to their brain, liver and bone marrow and female ovaries? And there you go. Total lipid concentration, within 25 minutes, within 1 hour, 2 hours, 4 hours, 8 hours, 24 hours, and 48 hours. And the rates just go up. These people are insane and they hate us. They don't want us be alive, I'm telling you. The opinionated black woman said, oh, I don't know why. Oh, I know why I put this in here. Sorry, I didn't want to read this out. I just put this in here because on my phone I can't read more than this. Okay? If I do, it goes back to my old account, which I can't. They want me to delete a tweet before I can read anything. So I have to bookmark it, jump on the computer just to read people's tweets now. Jack Posobiec said they deleted Get Better Records all day, every day is that thing. They've deleted it now. Laverne Spicer said they're calling the shooter a woman, even though she identified as a trans man. Funny how the media suddenly knows what a woman is when it's for something bad. Dan Andrews has banned the media travelling with him for his trip to China. I wonder why. Why the secrecy with no official meetings with diplomats announced? Is there a 4-day dictator refresher course with his communist mates? Probably. He can stay there. They can keep him, actually. China, you can keep Daniel Andrews. Keep him over there, please. Dr. Simone Gold said the reason the government, Big Pharma and the media vehemently attack people who spoke out about effective early treatments options like this one here, the whole thing, this here, is because if there's a treatment available, the government cannot grant an emergency use authorisation for the jabs. So they ignored the science, lied about the huge numbers of adverse events, smeared and censored anyone who disagreed, including my channel, which got removed for medical misinformation, which is what the strike I just got against this one. But anyway, let's not worry about that. Censored anyone who disagreed, got their EUA, emergency use authorisation, then injected the population with an experimental jab with no long-term safety data, with mRNA in it. They attacked HCQ and the Ivor one, even though they had they had proof that it worked. Trump had a round table of patients who took these 2 drugs and it took away the thing, which is what I believe he was talking about when he talked about the jab himself. But they've switched it and they made their own one and put that forward. That's what I think happened. Right after that, someone from the NIH, WHO or CDC called states and told them not to prescribe, or pharmacists not to fill. Remember what they've done to us. Is this the same person? Nope. Okay. So that's a bit interesting. I'm just waiting for all this to come out to the public. And I know most of you are as well, because most of us already know this. John Hay, FFFB, okay, what was he talking about? Oh, yep. This, you mean. The Virology Journal, the official publication of Dr. Fauci's National Institute of Health, published what is now a blockbuster article in 2005 under heading, get ready for this, chloroquine is a potent inhibitor of SARS coronavirus infection and spread. So they knew. They knew. These inhibitory effects were observed when the cells are treated with it, either before or after exposure to it, suggesting both prophylactic and therapeutic advantage. So the thing that I'm on functions as both a cure and a vaccine. So that's why. Interesting, isn't it? Okay. Oh, I'm on the same one. Okay, there we go. Andy No said, during the 220 BLM Antifa riots, I observed a disproportionate number of suspects at the violent riots were transformers. I write about this in more detail in my book, Unmasked. There is a phenomenon of young trans people being pulled into far-left violent radicalisation. Research on the subject. Okay, let's have a look at these people. Oh, dear. Oh, dear. Oh, God. Seriously? Okay. Pulled, you say, but pushed is more apt, assuming it's true, but okay, the far right never want to reflect on the consequences. Okay, yeah, right. Forget that a shooter just like one of these people just shot up something, so and people. 3 kids, 3 adults, I believe. Could be 4 adults, I don't know. My goodness. Tracy Bean said, I'm confused. They're calling Audrey Hale she, but trans. So is it a biological she who transitioned to male and everyone, including the media, are now misgendering? Isn't misgendering a cardinal sin, or is it biological male who transitioned to female? Is the entire legacy media committing the cardinal sin of using the wrong pronouns to cover this up? Because Tom Elliott said Nashville Police Chief confirms Audrey Hale identifies as transgender, suggests her trans-identified identity played a role. We have a manifesto and a map of how all this was going to play out. They had a map as well. Like, seriously, that screams Fed to me. Like a Fed arranged, okay? Maybe not, person was not a Fed themselves, but arranged. Alex said White House visitor logs reveal Joe Biden's been having frequent Oval meetings with execs from Apple, Facebook, and Google. How many times did they see them in, it was something like 38 times in 18 months or something? I want to play it, but I'm going to...
Thank you for your time. We're talking about a period of about 18 months. We've got at least 38 times senior executives made a stop at the White House. Is that can that be explained?
There you go. Big tech executives visited the White House 38 times. That's 2.5 per month. Was that to censor anyone by any chance? Oh, you wait. If I can jump on a class action lawsuit against YouTube, I will. And if I ever find out who the person was that actually reported my videos, I'm going to sue the ass off them too. Personally. Ada Luch said a transgender person killed 6 people today. The police confirmed the woman was trans, and the same sentence said they had no history of mental illness. Oh, dear God. The very, very thing is a mental illness. And here we see the problem with normalizing this stuff. Gender dysphoria has always been classified as a mental health issue. So yes, by default, this person had mental health issues. I'm not from America, but I think it's extremely obvious that with over 400 million guns in the country, if guns were the problem, there'd be no one left. It's not guns that are the problem. It's the mental illness that's the problem. Exactly. The problem is a society that normalizes mental illness and exports that insanity to the rest of the world. This person was mentally ill. Gender dysphoria is a mental illness and always has been. Doesn't matter how often you celebrate it or which celebrity influences are placed on TikTok to glorify it, it's a mental illness. That doesn't mean you have to have people suffering from it, but it's obvious that it is a medical condition that needs to be treated just like schizophrenia, depression, or any other mental health issues. Yeah, but don't treat them with antidepressants because that makes it worse. Celebrating and acting as though it's the best thing you can be has led to what you see today in Nashville. Never forget today, never forget what Audrey Hale did, and never forget the responses of those who want to argue about pronouns and political correctness instead of confronting this problem head on. It cannot continue. It starts in America and spreads to the world. My country of Spain is already passing insane legislation catering to this mental delusion. Stop this madness. And she said, I'm sorry to say that this is common sense and not hate speech. Again, the 23-year-old woman from Spain working to end wokeness and Gen Z. And I happen to agree with her. Craig Kelly said it looks like Labor can't win outright majority in New South Wales and then they'll need to do a deal with the Greens. Oh, my God, no, it's getting worse. They have 45 seats and need another 2 to hit 47 to win. But of the 6 seats still in doubt, they're now only ahead in just 1. Therefore, New South Wales will have a Labor Greens government. Won't that be fun? God help us all. Oh, dear God. I think they've stolen. They've stolen it again. Little bastard. Sorry. Is there more to this? And the independents are just Gucci Greens, okay? Do not vote for the independents. Goodness me. DC Drano said Tennessee just passed laws restricting sexualized drag shows for children and banning the genital mutilation of children. Okay? Was today's mass shooting at the school by the transformer person an act of domestic terrorism? Yeah, I think it was. And probably in response to this, because they're trying to scream that they're getting cancelled and they're not allowed to exist. Like, that's BS. They are allowed to exist. They do exist. And all they're doing is banning and restricting under 18s from seeing sexualised drag and banning under 18s from getting genitally mutilated. Andy No said some left-wing people on Twitter are sympathetic to the trans person, former shooter, who killed children and staff at the Christian school in Nashville. Kat Morocco said, I don't condone Audrey Howell's action, though I understand their outrage against an intolerant state that brainwashes children through religious indoctrination. Really? The reality is this human still identified as that child attending that school and carried that pain into adulthood. Well, I think this person is a bit sick, and this person too. Castro's ghost on Redbeard's bunker says, I still think this person still thinks TN got what it deserved. Yeah, you look like a bloody mental patient, mate. You can't victimise people non-stop and expect something bad. They're not being victimised. They're stopping children from seeing it. You half-wit. I'm sorry, I'm angry. I'm really angry now. This account blames the Christian school principal, Catherine Coons, who was among the 6 taken out. Tommy Sunshine said, let's focus on the head of the school, Catherine, who was specifically targeted by 28-year-old former student, Aidan, who's been dead named in the press as Audrey. Can you imagine what the early 2000s Christian curriculum contained about gender, sexuality, and being openly queer? And Brian Krasenstein. Oh, this is one of those Krasenstein twins, is it? The freaking weirdos. Breaking Marjorie Taylor Greene just blamed the Nashville shooting on hormones like testosterone and medications for mental illness. Well, so did I. That's exactly where my mind went to straight away. And this person said enough is enough. It's the effing... Oh, so guns just fire themselves, do they? Really? Really? You idiot. Every single... Sorry, not you guys, this person. Every single hooter with an S on the front of it, right? Look into their past. They all have mental illnesses. It's a mental illness problem, not a gun problem. Oh, MSM and the LEOs discussing the issue of misgendering the murderer. I'm sad and angry on so many levels. Oh, you poor thing. Forget about the people who lost their lives. I mean, you know, just feel sorry for the person who got, what happened? Misgendered. That's right. Well, these people are dickheads, sorry, but they really are. I've had enough. If you back a wounded animal into a corner, you can't be surprised when it bites. Why? Why are they so concerned about teaching under 18s, about being queer, gay, trans? There is something wrong with your mind if you want to do that. I'm serious. They think they're striking back against oppression. Why? For not being able to teach children. Oh, my God. Someone wake me up. I'm having a horrible nightmare here. God help us. Dinesh D'Souza said, major update. Obama's White House now at centre of Hunter Biden's scandal. Yeah, what? And he's in Australia, this dickhead. Sorry. Can't help it. He's an idiot. They all are. Can you tell I'm angry? Oh. Okay, what do we got here? This conservativebrief.com doesn't always get to the point, and sometimes there's not really a story there, so I'm really wary of them, but I'm trying to work out what's going on. 2 GOP senators who have been investigating alleged Biden family corruption for years have stepped up their efforts after Facebook and Twitter suppressed, to an extent, explosive revelations about Hunter Biden's laptop in October 2020. Republican Senators Charles Grassley of Iowa and Ron Johnson of Wisconsin want more answers. Grassley and Johnson have sent a letter to Zuckerberg noting that in October 2020, when the New York Post published articles based on evidence from Hunter Biden's laptop, many news and social media organizations inappropriately rushed to censor and discredit it, labeling it as Russian disinformation. But it was in fact real. You recently appeared to indicate the reason why Facebook made the unwise decision to censor articles about Hunter Biden laptop was based on an alert from the Federal Bureau of Investigation. I honestly think the Federal Bureau of Investigation causes more harm than it does good. How many of you agree with me? It's insane. Whistleblowers have also alleged to Senator Johnson that local FBI leadership instructed its employees not to look at the Hunter Biden laptop immediately after the FBI obtained it. The senators noted further, going on to say Americans deserve to know whether the FBI used Facebook as part of their alleged plan to discredit information about Hunter Biden. Congress and the American people require clarity with respect to the extent of that the FBI communicated with Facebook during the 2020 election about Hunter Biden-related information, they added. Well, his problems continue to get worse. Newly released emails from the laptop show he described his longtime business partner, Eric Schwerin, as a close confidant and counsel to then Vice President Joe Biden, raising more questions about whether Joe Biden knew or was involved with any of Hunter's shady business deals. Where does Obama come into it? Oh, because it was from back, I don't know. Oh, in an email thread from February 2014, Schwerin asked Hunter to review a letter of recommendation he had written on behalf of Joe Biden. Can you take a look at that, at the attached? I'm going to send it to your dad via Kathy tomorrow. I want to make sure you think this isn't too over the top and that you think your dad would be comfortable sending it, wrote Schwerin, who served as president of Hunter's Rosemont Seneca Partners Investment Fund, which has now been resolved. Okay, well, how is Obama? Look, it really pees me off when they do this. Okay, I'm trying to get to the Obama bit. Just bear with me, guys. And see, there's nothing in there. I hate things that do that. James Lindsay mansplaining the something or other. The default critical conscious narrative about transformer experience is that they suffer unimaginable oppression, severe transphobia to the point of it driving them to take themselves out. So they must be given 110% of their way on all demands, individual and collective. You watch. I bet you they do. Expect any narrative spun around the issue to insist that these two causes, transphobia and the other transphobia of not giving them 110% of their way all the time, are the real causes of all relevant tragedies which are not condoned but justified as such. I'm seriously. Oh, I won't say it. Woolsned said, we are witnessing the burning of millions of doses of the so-called jabbies, 71 billion euros it cost the European taxpayer, all done in secret. They're not the only ones. No one wants any more. And Australia's done the same thing, okay? They've just burnt the money. Taxpayers' money. They bought millions of them. Anyway. Tom Fitton said a leftist professor at Wayne Street University in Michigan has been suspended with pay after publishing a Facebook post calling for them taking out conservative campus speakers. Oh, look at it. It's far more admirable, he says, to take them out than it is to shout them down. Oh, nice one, mate. You idiot. Look at it. This is a professor? God help them. Oh. Bernie's tweets, France, Macron has called an emergency cabinet meeting before another day of national disobedience and strikes tomorrow. In the end, the people will decide no matter how he fights against them. Look at that. I think we need this all over the world right now. Raw's alert said breaking multiple agencies are responding to a runaway train carrying 180 cars heading 80 miles per hour with no one on it. I don't know what this is. Kelso, California. Currently, numerous law enforcement, hazmat teams and other agencies are responding to a runaway train carrying 180 cars heading 80 miles per hour with no one on it as the crew had to jump off. It was first reported in Baker heading towards Barstow, California, but the train has crashed and derailed in Kelso, California. Police are confirming multiple train cars have been derailed and damaged. I think these are all distractions, seriously. Distractions everywhere. Okay, and then telling you to join the Discord. Rukshan Fernando said story in 3 parts. Was the misgendering on purpose, SBS News? Australian MSM joining in the bandwagon of obscuring the shooter's self-proclaimed identity. SBS News here in Australia have reported 3 children and 3 adults are dead following a... they didn't say anything. Shooting in Nashville, Tennessee. Police respond to calls for shots fired at the Christian Covenant School and killed the shooter, a 28-year-old woman. Audrey Hale, he, him. New study says 3 in 5 Australians will purposely misgender trans people. No, you can't just change the whole language and expect people to play along, mate, especially with a mental illness. You've got to be feeling it too. Jack Pasobic said, child rapists too. Rick Scott said we need to consider an automatic death penalty for school shooters. Life in prison is not enough for the deranged monsters who go into our schools and kill innocent kids and educators. Pray for all facing the unimaginable in Nashville. This is horrible and must stop. See, Associated Press breaking 3 children, 3 staff members were taken out at private Christian school in Nashville by a female shooter. And she also died after being shot by police. End Wokeness said 2 weeks ago, Jane Fonda went on TV and told activists to kill pro-lifers. And here we go. Do you want to see it? Here we go. Listen to her. Listen to her own words.
We're not going back. I don't care what the laws are. We're not going back.
I think the women will rise up. That's the activist. That's Jane speaking, and she probably will get a Nobel Prize.
But it's the truth.
Very soon.
It is the truth. We're not going to do it.
The person sitting next to her looks like Lily Tomlin. Can anyone tell me that's who it is? It does really look. I think that's who it is.
Besides marching and protesting, what else do you suggest?
This one.
Well, it doesn't happen overnight. It's not a miraculous. What did you say?
Murder.
She's kidding. Wait a second. She's just kidding.
Don't say that. That's
you don't know. They'll pick up on that and just run with it.
Worst.
She's just kidding.
Well, let me talk to you about.
She was not kidding. Okay, that's Lily Tomlin. Honestly, if she even went on The View, that's the end of her for me. Silly woman. Peter Sweden said, Italy's banning insects from being used in their traditional pizza and pasta. Don't mess with their food. Retweet if you'll only be buying real Italian pasta now. Either that or making my own. Good on the Italians. Go the Italians. We all need to do this. Pauline Hanson said why Anthony Albanese's safeguard mechanism bill, aka carbon tax 2.0, will destroy jobs, raise electricity prices and hurt the economy. Explained in under 1 minute. Let's have a listen to Pauline Hanson.
Tell me about this safeguards mechanism. This is a big deal, and this is one of the first times we're seeing Labor doing a big deal with the Greens.
It is, Chris, and it's going to affect about 215 big industries and cause the emissions and what they put out. And then if they go over their emissions, then the cost is going to be to these companies. And I tell you what, Chris, they won't stay here. They'll shut down and they'll go overseas. With the rising cost of electricity, plus this emissions target they're setting, and it's again the Greens in bed with the Labor. The Greens are directing the Labor to policy, not the Labor government. And this happens all the time on the floor of Parliament with the support of David Pocock, as I call him Doormat Dave, that I don't feel that he does his complete research on this to understand what he's doing, what he passes in the Parliament. But anyway, that's him as the Senator for Canberra. But it's really will impact on our industries and manufacturing.
Tell me about this safeguards.
Okay, so Honestly, from what I can gather, Australia, the whole of Australia, the mainland, is like California and New York. Screwed. Elijah Schaefer said trans people are dangerous, but more dangerous to themselves than anyone else. With only representing such a small fraction of the population, they're clearly mentally unstable individuals and becoming more militant by design. This won't be the last day of them shooting, you watch. They're much more likely to kill themselves than others, but that instability and lack of valuing their own lives will be preyed upon. The anger will be directed at the other. Three-letter agencies will use them as well, where an incel is unable to be coerced. Division by design. This is exactly what I think. I really think this is like being set up by the Fed, possibly through the therapist even. I don't know if they're seeing a therapist. Yep, okay. Ian Miles Chong said they're going to ban TikTok, and to do so, they'll pass a law that enables the government to gain full access to private data and install itself as the de facto content moderator of any platform with more than 1 million users. That's basically everything you use. Masterful. You have to hand it to them for pushing this through with the full backing of an ignorant public. Not sure why I'm even going to bother fighting this, except to repeat myself endlessly on how terrible this is for privacy and free speech. Can't help but laugh because it's going to happen, and everyone isn't only letting it happen, but wanting for it to happen. Trading liberty for security, you deserve neither. I'd point out that it's even unconstitutional to ban a company and force it to sell its assets, as legal scholars have, but it's not like anyone cares about the Constitution unless it can be weaponized against their political foes. So is he saying don't ban TikTok? I don't know. Or just that they're going to ban TikTok and pass a law that enables the government full access to private data. Okay, Nick Adams, Alpha Male, said Elon Musk stands with MAGA. Just in, Elon Musk hammers Joe Biden for demonizing Republicans. Is that right? For his ineptitude instead of trying to fix the problems like he's supposed to. Biden pointed the finger at MAGA Republicans. Oh. Yeah, blame everything but the person who's causing the problem, like the trans former shooter and Joe Biden himself in the White House at the moment. Will Kensington said, I'm from New South Wales. Maybe this will never make sense to me, but I have to try and understand. How can anyone find this guy likable? He's rude, abrupt, abrasive, smug, and utterly charmless. Can someone from Victoria please explain his electoral appeal? I genuinely don't get it. Are you ready to listen to Dan Andrews sound like he's been punched in the mouth? Just Val said, must watch. He's pissed now. How dare anyone question him about his chummy relationship with the country we may be at war with within 3 years? Short answer, China owns Dan and Victoria. Watch his mouth, okay? Ready?
Given the strained nature of federal relations with China on the back of the August deal, do you feel like that might somewhat undermine your trip to China and relations on a state level? Like, is it appropriate at this stage?
Are they strained? I'm not aware that they're strained. I think that
after the August deal, yeah, China slammed the August deal.
Yeah, and does that does that mean the relationship is strained? I'm not here to make. Well, I'm not here to make. Well, you can make those judgments. I'm not here to make those sort of judgments. Well, I just got a question 5 minutes ago about how things have thawed. So.
Sorry, it may have been my phone that made it look like he got punched in the mouth.
Again.
Or maybe it's my wishful thinking.
You do the commentary. You do the commentary. That's fine. And I'll leave the Commonwealth Government to do defence policy, strategic policy. Hang on a minute. Hang on. Well, indeed. And you might want to speak to Mr. Morrison about that and whether that was a good thing for us. Like, this is our biggest trading. It's our biggest trading part. Yeah, all I'm saying is I'm not here to be a commentator on the China-Australia relationship.
Pedo Dan.
That's a matter appropriately and rightly for others. Nor am I here to talk about defence or strategic issues or foreign policy issues. My job, the job I've always done, is to make sure that more Victorian companies can get access to the biggest market in the world.
He is talking a bit funny, and I do think something's happened to his mouth. I don't know, could have had dental surgery for all I know, but
that more Victorian companies can get their products and their services.
I can't even listen to him. He's a pain in the ass. Side note, it's not that he's left-wing. I disagreed with politicians like Rudd, Gillard, Albo, Beattie, etc., but I could see how someone who has different views to me could find them appealing in this instance. I just can't. I don't know how anyone finds this idiot appealing at all. Unless they're all criminal, corrupt people and they're all have it hung over their heads. Baron of Burleigh said, I just discovered that Australia mines and refines on average about $32 billion worth of gold a year. Where the flock does that go? Yeah, and where does the $32 billion go? Doesn't go to the Australian people. Melinda Richards said the only thing wrong with this tweet is that I didn't say it. Liz, you rock. Liz Churchill said, I'm a climate change denier. I'm completely unjabbed and have zero tolerance for Marxist rituals. The WEF, UN, and WHO are regrouped Nazis. Elections are rigged, and it should be very clear at this point that communism literally ruins everything. Thanks for the 175,000 soldiers or followers she's got now. Okay, Andy No said, okay, we know about this. Okay, we know about that. I've shared it a couple of times just in case I missed something. Okay, what's this? It begins. ABC's Terry Moran ties the Nashville school shooting to Tennessee's recently passed legislation banning the hormonization and mutilation of minors. The shooter was 28. So why does a 28-year-old want to... I think you know what I'm going to ask. Why do they want minors to be trans and to be able to teach them and do drag in front of them? This person was 28 years old. They were not a child. Okay, let's have a listen to this idiot.
All right, that is Police Chief John Drake of Nashville, who is briefing reporters on the deadly grade school shooting in Nashville at the Covenant School there this morning. The police confirming 6 dead, 3 children, 1 8 years old, 2 9 years old, and 3 adults, including Catherine Kuntz, who is the head of the Covenant School. The police chief also said that the shooter has been identified as 28-year-old female Audrey Hale. Said she's a former student of the school and confirmed that Audrey Hale was identified herself as a transgender person. State of Tennessee earlier this month passed and the governor signed a bill that banned transgender medical care for minors, as well as a law that prohibited adult entertainment, including male and female impersonators, after a series of drag show controversies in that state.
He forgot to mention 2 minors, the drag shows 2 minors that they banned. They didn't ban all drag shows, just the ones to minors. Oh, dear God. This is the New Zealand one. Avi Yamini said, I wonder why. New Zealand PM refuses to guarantee police action on violent protests. This is why. This is his friend. That's the one who was at the women's rights march. Yeah, they're all in it together. All in bed together, I'm sure. Andy No said many militant trans activists have an obsession with ultra-violence, sexual violence, murder and suicide. Yep. It's saying transphobic. If you're transphobic, you should take yourself out. Matt Walsh said trans activists believe that those who oppose them should die. I know this because a great many of them have told me this. They have communicated the message to me and my family in many ways. They think their right to affirmation supersedes your right to live. What else would we expect when we have people who are mentally ill and we encourage them to fully embrace their mental illness instead of getting treatment? Yes, exactly. Okay, Cat A said Australian senators on the floor now fighting for an inquiry into the WHO pandemic treaty. The idea that WHO should have control over a person's individual health is an egregious abuse of power. A further descent into the world of centralised power in lockstep with the Globalist agenda, ceding national sovereignty bit by bit. And this is Alex Antic. I believe he's fighting against it. So I won't play that because I'll probably get in trouble, knowing me. And Malcolm Roberts actually put up, and I have shared it on Twitter, a 1 hour and 40-minute inquiry into it, which I have to yet watch. Mike Flynn said the seriousness of this period in history for the United States to stand or fall is of such extraordinary consequence that every American must decide which side they choose to be on. I stand for America. Where do you stand? In the end, it's not about what's right. It's about whose rights are protected. It's certainly not the American people. And in most cases today, it benefits the CCP. And our Constitution is still worth defending against totalitarians like the CCP. General Spaulding said, Vivek Ramaswamy. Here is a story about how corporate America promotes the interests of the CCP. Many, like Joshua Steinem, like to insinuate I did something wrong at the NSC by writing a memo for internal consumption about 5G. This was beyond my remit, but strategy is cross-functional and trans-regional, and that's how Jen Flynn set it up while he was gone. When I arrived, the mission for the office remained the same onto the paper. You can still download it here. If it was so bad, why didn't the Trump administration distance itself from the idea? I don't even get what this is about. Why does the NSS contain this line? Will improve America's digital infrastructure by deploying a secure 5G internet capability nationwide. There was never anyone like Josh Rogan to question Joe Schrogan or Josh Rogan? Who's that? Who leaked the internal memo and why? Well, I don't know for sure. I expect the NSC itself leaked it because they likely got heat from Congress, who likely heard from the telecom industry. If you read the draft paper, they didn't leak the final version. There's no mention of nationalising 5G. In fact, that was what McMaster commented when he received the briefing. Likely he was told by someone that's what the paper said, so he was surprised to hear it did not. What about follow-on action? Sarah Huckabee never backed away from the need for a secure 5G network when questioned by reporters. Why? Because it's common sense. Our infrastructure, particularly our digital infrastructure, is our weakest link. How will you receive alerts if we have catastrophic failure off the grid? What happened after I was forced out of my job at the White House? The State Department went after Huawei. Keith Crack came up with the Clean Network program at the State Department. Who fought those efforts in DC? The telecom industry. As for me, the entire episode taught me about how policy is done in DC. It's not really the story that you read in the news. In fact, I spoke to Jonathan Swan the night the paper was leaked, which is how I knew it was the NSC who had leaked it. I told him the idea had nothing to do with nationalising 5G, but was rather a think piece on the opportunities and challenges of 5G. It was about the technology and not about the policy per se, yet he wrote that I proposed nationalising 5G anyway. Likely he was told to. It was another hammer to beat on Trump, and I was just the stooge to give it to him. Why did I write the paper? I knew China was eating our lunch in AI. They were gobbling up the world's data. Kay Fooley says China will be the Saudi Arabia of data. 5G being the first completely software-defined cellular network enables you to think differently about the architecture. Oh, God. How long does... Oh, my goodness. Okay. I don't know if anyone remembers. It was on my other channel. So the seriousness of this period in history for the United States, you got to be on the side of America, not China. I think most of you are. Anyway, same as here in Australia. You got to be on the side of Australia, not China. And yet our politicians are all for China. Great. Betty Johnson, one thing, I mean, therefore I am, said Betty Johnson, one thing is very clear, the modern trans movement is radicalizing activists into terrorists. Here's the Colorado one, identified as non-binary. The Denver one, identified as trans. The Aberdeen one, identified as trans. And the Nashville one, identified as trans. That's what I think you got to look into the mental illness that's causing this. Okay, hang on. Oh, this is what I wanted. Yep, okay. Skeptical Shrink said thread, the trans will to power, or why the trans paraspecies has to convert or kill Christian children to save itself. They do not naturally reproduce and represent a small portion of the population. They are a paraspecies. They have the natural urge to see their values and identities spread, but are aware they are not apt to do so by natural reproduction. These values and identities are spread to the next generation mimetically instead. Transgender people, as a result, move into the schools and other institutions, libraries, government, etc. The trans teachers have their kids. Your kids are their kids. The aim of this movement is to spread the trans contagion to a new generation of non-natal children by way of direct spread, teachers finding out most of their class is trans, or by advocating for social normalisation of their behaviour, drag queen story hour. Those who naturally reproduce, naturalists, who want their children to do so, keep their children away from this type of social contagion by advocating for laws banning the social normalisation, drag queen story out, and placing children in protected schools. The natural reproducers, inclined to protect from trans influence, i.e. Christians and other traditional believers and social conservatives, tend to produce more children than the trans could ever convert or reproduce themselves. Trans people experience existential dread and fear for extinction of their paraspecies as the possibility of mimetic reproduction of another generation is decreased and the trans mimetic pool is diluted by naturalists. Faced with a crisis of inability to convert and with dilution of the mimetic influence on culture, the impulse is to kill the children that cannot be made into the next generation. All those not assimilable into the species and who won't advocate for its spread must die. I don't know. Okay. Natalists, is it? I don't know. Natalists who are supportive of trans ideology, i.e. liberals and progressives, may be kept around as the trans paraspecies may spread the mimetic contagion to them and use their children to pass on the paraspecies. The only solution is for Christians and conservatives to relocate, reproduce, and reload. There's a parahuman species coming for your children, and their very existence relies upon ending your children. If you made it this far, please like, retweet, and all that. Oh dear. Alexandria Marshall said we've built the entire net zero economic and social framework on an apocalypse that does not exist. It might be the most disturbing and expensive hysterical fit humanity has ever engaged in. Dinesh D'Souza said, watch the media run away from the Nashville shooting story now that it's come out the killer is transgender and that transgenderism was the motive for this target domestic terrorist attack on Christian children. Oh, Aussiebot said, I stand with the people of France. Dana said, major update out of France. With now over 3.5 million people on the streets, the police are now getting crushed and retreating. Cops dragging unconscious and dead police out of action. This is turning into a true civil war and the tide is turning in our favour. Unfortunately, it will have to come to this in many countries as they are dead set on enslaving us. Humans are meant to be free and we will not settle for anything less. So the police that are left that didn't leave and join the other ones, and I think these are probably UN police, are being hammered. I don't see a dead policeman, but anyway, hopefully there's not one. They're carrying injured ones away. But the people are overwhelming these jerk-offs. Prue McSween said, now playing it started. The people smugglers appear to be back in business. Reports that at least 9 boats have been towed back. Some people shipped to Christmas Island, a media blackout by the LBRY government. Chickens coming home to roost. So they're already on their way from overseas. Oh dear. Matt Walsh said, I've been telling you for a long time that left-wing trans extremists are violent, dangerous people who've been made to feel absolutely entitled to say and do whatever they want. The deranged claims of genocide are an open invitation to violence. It'll get worse from here. Trans activists believe that those who oppose them should die. I know this because a great many of them have told me. I think I read that. Okay, there's also riots in Israel. Okay, John Mappin said the riots in Israel should be understood. Israel is the most jabbed per capita country in the world, so the ruling government that implemented the lethal jab policy is attempting to take control of the independent judiciary that could otherwise convict Israel's leaders for mass injection genocide. That's what this is all about. Today, a pilot could not be found in all of Israel that would fly Netanyahu to Britain, so his visit was postponed. Go Israel. Go, you guys. Go. The people of Israel standing up against their government. And I believe they are probably one of the most controlled places, because you know about the who was it? The Rockefellers or the Rothschilds that signed that treaty giving Israel to the Israelis. Moral of the story, genocide of Jews does happen on a regular basis, but when they work out who has done it, God help the perpetrators. The consequences and punishment of this injection genocide will make Nuremberg trials and convictions seem mild. The leadership of Israel has committed chemical genocide by lethal maiming injection on the Jewish people. An independent judiciary will convict them all and hang them for genocide. The perpetrators are desperate. Okay. Hang on, what's this? John Mappin said he did it to Adolf Eichmann. They will do it again. The proposed judicial changes in Israel are specifically to allow bad actors to cover their tracks. The genocide of Jews by Jews and others using lethal injection is coming to the fore of public consciousness. An independent sovereign Israeli Supreme Court will put the genociders on trial again. So that's what's happening over there. Wow. DM said, well written. Okay, let's read this. We are not anti-trans. I don't particularly give a shit whether you people are trans or not, to be honest. Dress how you want, sleep with who you want, and live your life. But don't play on female sports teams. Don't record male rapists as women in the crime stats. Don't use our changing rooms, and don't be jailed with us. More importantly, don't teach my child that boys can have a period. Don't teach my tomboy daughter that she really must be a boy if she likes rugby and hates a period. Don't tell young lesbians they have a genital fetish if they refuse to have sex with a man with a penis. And don't socially transition my children at school behind my back. Is that really so effing unreasonable? Did that really warrant the violence and mob today? Do those views really justify men shoving women and having the media paint me as a Nazi? Yeah, no. Okay, what's this one? Oh, yep. I showed you guys that. Oh, okay. A man dressed up as a woman caught on camera assaulting an elderly man in New Zealand. This elderly man here, see this person just punched that, look, elbowed him in the face. And then they're attacking him. What the hell? Mate, I hate violence against elderly and children and animals. And if I see anyone do it, I want to jump on them. I'm telling you. Alexandra Marshall said the Australian people are determined to have socialism. Marxist-led racial supremacy, eco-fascism, and cult-like hysteria. Nothing can stop civilization when it decides to destroy itself like this, and that's exactly what Australia is doing. Woo. Okay. Oh, thousands of anti-war protesters take to the streets of Paris to challenge Biden's proxy war in Ukraine. Biden, we don't want your war. Nobody does. Okay, Rise Melbourne said in Gordon, New South Wales, Gordon Fire Station says, end the jabby mandates. Every message counts. Go the Fireys. In Gordon. Go. You people, you good people. That's the Gordon Fire Station. Good on them. Okay, I'm so over this, said you'd have to be really high up in the Australian government to get this censored from all our MSM. Who gave the order for all MSM to use the term anti-trans protesters instead of let women speak, women's rights? What's in it for our government? Okay, here's an elderly lady getting assaulted by a trans person. Watch, she actually gets punched. Guys, far out. It's peeing me off. Oh, no. Rosita Diaz said 2 days after warning his colleagues that no referendum had passed without bipartisan support, Anthony Albanese virtually ensured there will be no bipartisanship. Albanese's acceptance of the Indigenous Working Group's rejection of the Solicitor General's advice aimed at limiting the intervention of the voice on the day-to-day working of government has all but guaranteed Liberal Party opposition to the referendum. Yep, sadly, our Liberal Party is... So our Republicans, if in Australia, if you want to, if you'd call them that, are not Republicans anymore. They are complete Democrats. They all work for the same people. Nasty One Reborn said, I just hope he was in the male's bathroom when filming. A transgender woman posts sobbing selfie in JFK bathroom after claiming female TSA agent punched her testicles and left her in extreme pain. This is what happens when you dress as a woman. If you've still got testes, they're gonna search you. And the left have been calling for this for years. They were the ones who wanted the TSA searching, body cavity searching everyone. How to calm a trans woman? You need to calm down, sir. Yeah, what's a woman doing with testicles? It's not a woman. Sorry, but not a woman. Not a woman. Okay, James Melville said Canadian truckers, Dutch farmers, French protesters, Iranian women and many others holding their line. It's amazing what can be achieved with the mobilisation of people power against bad governments and authoritarian regimes. So where's this? This is all over the world. Canada, Paris, everywhere. People are standing up all over the place. Do you think we need to stand yet? Okay, Katie said 60 Minutes forgetting to mention that a 10-year-old Brooke Shields posed in a series of naked shots in a Playboy publication, Sugar and Spice. I obviously can't show the pictures. How can they just gloss over this? Brooke Shields is a product of Hollywood child exploitation. Look at Brooke Shields at 10 years old. Look what they did to her. Dear God. This has been going on for a long time. Does anyone remember, what is it, Blue Lagoon that she starred in? Nicole Solis domestic. Oh, I don't know what this is. Students are told to use a single stall restroom if uncomfortable with the opposite sex in their restroom. 150 students lined up to use a single stall and the school says that's harassment. Oh, dear God. They refuse to see it. That's what it is. They really want people. They really want to drag people into it, you know. Liz Churchill said, bet you can't look at this without smiling. Ready, Canadians? Trudeau, Hitler. He suits that name. Okay, so there was no thread there. Free Spirit Australia said, might want to get his facts straight. My double Mars mastectomy wasn't to change my appearance, pretending I'm something I'm not. It was to save my life from breast cancer. HRT is how I got breast cancer, and the treatment is called hormone therapy. It's actually chemo to kills off any hormone. Because this half-wit here, listen to this.
What is so wild to me and ironic about gender-affirming care being under attack for trans people is that cisgender people get these exact procedures that are under attack in higher numbers than trans people do. Let me tell you what I mean. Laser hair removal, for example, common gender-affirming procedure for trans people, mostly pursued by cis women. Lip fillers, Botox, facelifts, common gender-affirming procedure for trans people, mostly pursued by cis women. Same with breast augmentations, breast reductions, or mastectomies. Hormone therapy is used to treat low estrogen levels, any sort of hormone imbalance, PCOS, endometriosis, fertility issues, you name it. It is even used to treat cancer. And even more ironically, a lot of cis people pursue these forms of care because it's gender-affirming for them. But it only becomes an issue when trans people pursue these forms of treatment. To fight for gender-affirming care has nothing to do with these medical services themselves and everything to do with controlling trans people's bodies. Those are just some examples of how cis people pursue gender-affirming care. So if you want more, like for part 2.
I muted myself, and now I've got another phone call coming through. Oh, everyone's trying to get in contact. Oh, dear God. Okay, so where was I up to before the sound went out? I was back here somewhere. This one, that's all right. Okay, this is Rosebud Police Station in New South Wales. Half-mast flag, Aboriginal flag, and God knows what flag that is. But anyway, the Australian one's at half-mast. Alexandra Marshall said millions upon millions upon millions of COVID jabs are being thrown out. Politicians must be held to account for the excessive waste of taxpayer money. This was not capitalism, this was COVID communism, and we deserve a refund for their abuses of power. Verica said, Australia, what's in store for 2023-24? As you didn't hear me say before, it'll be Hev running to the bush. That's what's in store for 2023-24 in Australia. 15-minute cities, CBDCs, digital ID, surveillance, social credit scores, energy inflation, power blackouts, superinflation, food shortages, GMO food, Marxist indoctrination in schools, no free speech, vax mandates, huge immigration, and poverty via tax. Then we got this one. David Morgan said, so we just found out the CIA definitively took out JFK, not that we didn't know already, and almost no one's talking about it. In a sane society, this would be the top global news story for 6 months to a year, but we don't live in a sane society. Okay. James Lindsay said, one of the best ways to intervene against the trans cult is to create long statutes of limitation on action. Give these kids the opportunity to turn around and sue for damages and malpractice until they're 50. Ooh. If desistance and complications are as rare as the demons say, this will be no problem. Yeah, so how about allowing all these trans kids to sue you if they don't like it? Because there's many that are detransitioning. I would love to see that. Rob Alessandro said, we laugh at those who can't define what a woman is. Now the question is, what is an Aboriginal? And the test is spectacular. Listen to this.
Can you define what is a person of Aboriginality applying for the job? What's the definition?
Senator Hanson, we have guidelines around how our employees identify themselves as from Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islander descent. We don't have guidelines.
Do they tick a box just saying they're Aboriginal?
I tick a box.
Well, it is on a lot of forms that you. It's a lot of forms. There are probably people listening to this who might want to apply for this. So a job working at the ABC. So how do you define that person is of Aboriginal?
Senator, I'm not entirely sure what the question is.
So if someone walks in, you're applying for a job and you say, it's been advertised that only Aboriginal need to apply. Someone comes into your office and sits down opposite your desk and says, I'm applying for the job. You say, are you Aboriginal? They say yes. Is that the end of the conversation?
Yes, Senator.
So it's based on if someone defines themselves and classifies and says, I'm an Aboriginal, they can apply for the job.
That's correct, Senator.
Right, thank you.
Okay, so if you're applying for a job that says Aboriginal only, just go in and say you're an Aboriginal. Okay, Jan Summers, let us be, said it's Monday, so we all need a good laugh. This is one I'm going to end on. Enjoy. Protesters and their spirit animals supercut. Ready for this one?
Piece of shit! Piece of shit! Are you out of yourself? Where is your gun now?
You need a gun because you're weak. You need a bullet because your voice is small. Enough is enough!
Thumbs up! Can't stop! I'm gonna go fucking celebrate!
Oh, God.
I will not be stopped!
Join with us right now!
Not the judge, not the state, women must decide their fate!
Oh, that was funny, guys. Okay, let's go over to... And I'm going to leave it there for today, guys. Oh, what am I going to do? I might be back here tomorrow. I'm going to see if I can set Rumble up with this as well so that... yeah, I can go over there as well. Hang on, this is going to...
I've seen a...
Okay, just hang in there. Alex said, little house on the land for Hev. I hope that's what the call was about. Susie said, love you guys. Centron said, I heard somewhere there for they refuse payment in cash. The contract is voided if they do away with cash. Alex pray sign. Voyager said, love you lots. Love you guys too. You take care. That was funny as fuck. Love you all. I love you guys. Okay, have a good one. Oh, I'm going to go, guys, crying. May God keep, creator of creation, bless and keep us all. And may the force be with you. May the force be with you, guys. Hev signing off. Have a good one, and I'll see you, I don't know, very, very soon. Be here on Saturday, at least for the Friday, Saturday live stream. We'll be doing it on this channel. Okay, guys, have a good one. I love you. Bye.
A lot of change, been through a lot of pain. Some things are not the same as they were a year ago, but all will be okay. I move on each and every day. The past is where it stays, way back a year ago. I've changed for the better this time. I thought I would never be fine. I strive just to say I'm alright. And for the first time in a long time, I'm alright. I've seen a lot of change, been through a lot of pain. Some things are not the same as they were a year ago, but all will be okay. I move on each and every day. The past is where it stays, way back a year ago. I'm not falling. I'll push all my chips and call all in. falling. I'll bet on myself, you keep stalling. I hear destiny and it's calling. I'll keep my head up high through the downs and lows, and where I'll go in life, still nobody knows. But I'ma choose what's right and take what comes and goes, and ain't no one in life holding me back no more. I've seen a lot of change, been through a lot of pain. Some things are not the same as they were a year ago, but all will be okay. I move on each and every day. The past is where it stays, way back a year ago. Back a year ago.